Man who's won a lot of games and clearly impacted a lot of lives along the way, and on the verge of a milestone today. Mark Dantonio on the day he could pass Duffy Daugherty and become the all-time wins leader here at Michigan State. Mark Dantonio, kind enough to join us. Thanks so much for doing that, Coach. As you hear all those players and saw them in the minute or so before we welcomed you to the set here, talking about the impact that you've had on them, what goes through your mind?
Well, you start this profession, I think, as a coach, with the idea that you're a teacher, and so that you're trying to impact young people in a positive way, and watch them grow, and then along the way win some football games and make it a great experience for them. And I think we've tried to do that.
To what do you attribute the success here?
I think as much as anything, it's everybody going in the same direction. From day one when we got the job, administrators, we retained our coaches, had great continuity. We've not had a lot of attrition. We've had so many players come and do great things here, and it's been outstanding. And then I also think that there's a tradition here at Michigan State, and maybe it had been lost for a little bit, but there's a tradition. I've always felt like you could win, and this was a place that you could point towards and say, hey, great things can happen here.
I'm guessing some of your mentors had something to do with you being in this position. Give us maybe some of the things you've learned, who the mentors are, and what you maybe learned from each one of them.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to reflect a little bit this week, and how I got to this position is sort of beyond me sometimes, I guess. But I remember Randy Hart. Randy Hart was a defensive assistant at Purdue, but went to Ohio State, and he brought me to Ohio State as a graduate assistant under Earl Bruce, and I met Jim Tressel and Glenn Mason, and it was Dom Capers, GA, and along the way, Jim Dennison from the University of Akron hired me, and then Jim Tressel was so impactful in my life. Had the opportunity to go to KU, and then on from there to Michigan State, where I was involved with Nick Saban, and he really brought my thinking to a higher level defensively, I felt, and and from there, it's been all the coaches that have been around me at Michigan State and at the University of Cincinnati as well. And Bob Going had to give me that opportunity, the athletic director at Cincinnati, to become a head coach. So along the way, we won a national championship at Ohio State, and good things sort of followed from there.
Coach, let's go on the field a little bit. Now, take you back a week, though, when you challenged your offense to really step up and raise their level of play. How do you get that consistency to happen once again this week?
Well, Nick always talks about it, consistency and performance, and that's what you're always looking for with your football team. And you're constantly trying to get better and raise your level of play as well. So that's what we're trying to do. It's the little things. The little things sort of add up, My favorite philosopher, I told my players last night, Lao Tzu. Anticipate the difficult by managing the easy. And if you can do those things, good things are going to happen. It's just going to flow and just going to take effect on you, and one thing's going to sort of tumble into the next.
I've heard you talk this week about Duffy Daugherty, the man the record you're going to break. Reflect on his career here.
Yeah, it's a different time of football. I thought he was a pioneer for the college football game. He really was involved with the integration of college football. Had so many players from so many different places. To think that, the national championships that he had won, and, he was coach of the year, I think, twice, and on the cover of Life magazine. And he was a bigger-than-life person, and still is. I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of his former players. They loved him. It's incredible that 4 guys are drafted in the top, I think, 8 picks in the 67 draft. That's the type of players he had, 29 first-team All-Americans and those type of things. So, to come and do these things at a later time is, I think, something that a lot of people have created along the way. And, I'm just blessed to be a part of it and, had my contributions as well, but, I've benefited from those around me.
Pushing through that 10-year barrier is something that head coaches sometimes have an issue with
tough.
doing.
I think it's about a 3-year barrier now.
You might be right, but outside of the players, what are some of the things that have allowed you to really have the success? You mentioned consistency, but what are some of the other things that have allowed you to have the success here that other coaches aren't able to have past 10 years?
Well, I think as much as anything, administrative support, number one, and number two, continuity on our coaching staff. You have the same teachers in the same classroom settings, so guys are able to learn the finest details, and it's always cutting edge. It's always being trying to be more innovative and trying to bring other things forward. But I think those two things as much as anything. Obviously, recruiting's had a big effect on things. We've had some great players come here, and do great things. We've had, I think the number's like 31 or 32 guys in the NFL or something like that. So drafted. That's not counting the guys who've made it as free agents. So there's been a lot of people that have been involved in this, and I hope that at the end of it, when this does happen, it'll happen inevitably, that everybody has an opportunity to sort of take a minute and understand that they were a part of this.
Give us some insight into the Sun Devils today.
I think Herm Edwards is a football guy. He's done a great job. He's going to have his guys ready to play. Every time I've been around him, I've really enjoyed it. I think they got a freshman quarterback, a freshman center, outstanding running back. They lost a great wide receiver. On defense, they're going to put a lot of people at the point of attack and with a lot of different movement than based out of a 3-3-5. But they're going to play some four-man fronts and make it like that. They're going to play hard. Their first two games, and our first two games, there's a little bit of parallel there. But so it should be a great football game. I've been very impressed with Spartan Stadium and our students, and it's going to be a great environment, and it'll be great for college football today.
Head coach of the Michigan State Spartans, on the verge perhaps of making history today, Mark Dantonio. Coach, thanks so much for your time. You're always so kind with it and generous with it for us, and we very much appreciate it.
Thanks, and go green. I want to thank my family, who may be watching, they may not, for always being there. When you're a head coach, you go through a lot of different things. You need great support from your wife and your children. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.